Hey there, Film Buds. Welcome back to the Film Buds podcast. I'm your host, Paul.
And I'm Lauren.
And, it's fall, y'all.
I mean, it's technically been fall, but...
Well, I mean, we are about to do the official fall back.
Does that mark when fall starts?
Yeah, technically.
Wait, then when does winter start? Because doesn't winter start in the middle of December?
Man, I don't know.
It was the month you were born in.
So?
You're doing birthdays all wrong. You're supposed to know the inner workings of the month, but anywho.
No, man. What's the day? What am I getting?
Oh my gosh.
Who's showing up and who sucks?
That's right.
And that's the breakdown.
Fantastic. But yes. Here we are, officially in fall. It's looking fall here.
We're at least, very much so. And we are about to fall back. And it is no longer October. We're officially into November. Mm-hmm. Which is an interesting time, I think, cinematically.
Okay. In what way?
You know, Halloween, plenty of movies.
Uh-huh.
Christmas, plenty of movies. And then there's this... Where'd it go? You know, it's this plenty of movies with foliage. Fall about. Well, even potentially hints of Thanksgiving.
Well, I feel like Thanksgiving should be something that it would be like a really easy thing to have a movie about, because it's like, it's an event that brings people together, all centered around one table and a meal, and you can have hijinks galore from there.
But we just make it Christmas.
We always do, yeah. No, for sure.
Well, and, in one of the posts that I wrote up for this episode, I talk about the fact that, like, when I grew up, I felt like Thanksgiving was sort of like the fancier middle holiday. You know, like Halloween was fiddly-dee and falderall. Mm-hmm. And Christmas, you did have Christmas dinner, but, like, that shit is about the lights, the presents, the pageantry. And then you had Thanksgiving. This whole, you have to dress up. The house has to be clean. And the entire point is to sit down and have this meal. You know, it felt like this much more, like, staid tradition, comparatively speaking.
I think that's interesting. I don't remember ever having to, like, dress up for Thanksgiving. I always remember...
Oh, man, every year.
I remembered, like, you know, looking nicer, but that was like a personal choice, you know. I've seen people come to Thanksgiving dressed in whatever, you know, they weren't Karen's children, but anywho. But no, I mean, I don't know. I like Thanksgiving purely for the fact that, like, it's just another random holiday that falls between other holidays. It's like this, you know, it's a part of the holiday sandwich that is this time of the year. You know, it's great. Do I actually like Thanksgiving food? No.
Well, and I guess that's very interesting because, again, like, for me, maybe that's one of the reasons that I don't particularly enjoy Thanksgiving much now, is that growing up, it felt very much like you have to get, you know, to the nines, you know, for Thanksgiving is a to-do. You know, you've got to be in a button-down.
No.
You're going to be in loafers.
Thanksgiving in my house was a potluck.
No.
Thanksgiving every year is a potluck. It's called, some people pick what they're making and then they bring it, and you basically have a fancy cookout in your house because it's cold outside, so you can't have it out there.
No, and that's not at all what I grew up with.
No, yeah, I mean, baby, you've been to my house.
No, that's a fact.
At Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. It has never changed.
Well,
it's always been that.
That's good to know. Our Thanksgivings have gotten better. Maybe that's because all of my grandparents are dead.
Oh.
But, like, part of the reason, like, our Thanksgivings definitely for a time were fancy was that, like, certain parts of my family were showing up. And so, like, it was very much a to-do. And, like, it had to be this, and it felt very much like this, at times, fastidious thing. And so maybe that's what I didn't enjoy about Thanksgiving.
I mean, I just purely don't like Thanksgiving cuisine.
I don't really much care for the food either. I think turkey is a horrible bird to eat.
I purely, every year for Thanksgiving, would eat the mac and cheese that I make now that has been passed down from my mother to me, and it shall be passed on again, I guess right now to our cat Santana, because we don't have any kids.
That's right.
But, and ham. That was every year for Thanksgiving where I would make myself a plate of mac and cheese and ham. Because cannot stand turkey. It is only good with gravy. And that's really sad. You literally have to put gravy on it or else it's inedible. I'm not a big casserole person. I do not like marshmallows. It's just a whole thing. I was never like a eat all of the food on my plate kind of person. Like I'm a small eater for the most part, and Thanksgiving was always one of those meals that like I always felt like a lot of pressure to build my plate as big as everybody else did just to be miserable.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point, guys?
No, for sure.
And that's definitely not the quote unquote origin of why we started this holiday, either. No,
for sure. We won't get too much into the history of the origin in this episode of Thanksgiving. We'll get into it during this month. Don't you fret, dear listeners. History is coming. But not today. However, going off of this sort of conversation, I did want to ask you, before we jump into our discussion on our main film, what are some films that do come to mind when you think of Thanksgiving?
I am drawing solid blanks right now.
I guess then general autumnal feeling.
Movies that feel like fall. I guess I don't know, one of the Harry Potters.
Okay.
I feel like they always have like very clear seasons. Fall into winter is always this like very distinct.
Well, and the school is kind of right there at like the cusp of fall.
Exactly. It's fall for me, I guess, makes me think of like back to school time, kind of deal. It's not, I feel like once we get into November, people are very much preparing for it being Christmas.
And wintry.
Yeah, exactly, because we're now at like the end of the season instead of at the beginning part of the season. No, I'm having a Dickens of a time trying to come up with a fall movie.
When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. But again, it's a movie that is happening in a season. It is, and then
loops back around to that season because like we go through like a few years. And we start in fall and we end in fall.
Yes?
Because the first time that they meet is going off to college.
Oh my gosh.
And then when they come together, it's fall again. Mm-hmm. Is it not?
I honestly at the moment can't answer that with
any definitive sort of...
Yeah, any kind of confidence in an answer. Because I truly don't remember at this moment. But that's still an interesting, because there's the scene where they're going through like the park, and it's all the trees and
it's iconic. It's like one of the main images of the movie.
No, I think that's totally fair.
What's another one? You've Got Mail. Is that another one that takes place in fall?
I feel like it does, but I feel like we're now starting in a theme.
Well, yeah, now we're just getting into Meg Ryan movies.
No, maybe they're all set in fall.
She's an autumnal actor.
Honestly, it's a good color palette for her. Maybe they found that out a long time ago.
It's truly hilarious that that a woman that works at my office is named Meg and literally feels like a Meg Ryan character.
Maybe it comes with the name.
Pair hats. And so, autumnal movies. Harry Potter is a good option. I'll go with, for me, honestly, strangely enough, I will go with Lord of the Rings. This is usually around the time of year that I do a Lord of the Rings watch. And I think it's all because of Fellowship. For me, Fellowship has a fall feeling.
Interesting.
Maybe it's because that film feels like it is the end of spring. You know, for some of our characters, right? Their youth is over and they're starting to truly become, you know, in a sort of thematic sense, fall.
No, I get that. I mean, see, I guess that's the problem that I'm having right now is, like, fall is such a weird season for movies. You know, like,
It's a transitional period.
well, yeah, but it's also kind of like this, like, and we're just going to wrap up the year real quick kind of mood, because that's where we are right now in November, because, like, anything else that's coming out, if something's coming out in December, and it's worth a damn, it's coming out on Christmas.
Yeah, you know, and pretty much anything in December is winter oriented.
Exactly,
not fall
and
focused.
that's a very different mood, and that's a very clear mood too, because then you get all of those, you know, those not just winter themed movies, but you also get all of the, like, very very distinct Christmas movies that, like, people go to at that time of year. You know, it's the same thing with Halloween though, but, like, that's why I'm having such a problem, because I'm like, every movie that I want to put in fall is like, oh no, it's a Halloween movie though, and that's why it's very fall for me. Rushmore. Rushmore is a fall movie.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
Because again, it's set in all that back to school stuff. You know, and it's very seasonal as well.
No, I think that's entirely fair. Fall movie. Knives Out?
I'd say that's fair. That movie's really brightly colored for me. So I feel like personally it leans more, I guess, into like a...
But everyone's in, like, sweaters and layers and there's leaves about the grounds.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
All right, sure, hell yeah.
The one with Bernie Mac, the only one that I've seen.
Oh, okay, guess who?
Guess who? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I was like,
Guess who's coming to dinner is Sidney Poitier.
Oh. I have not seen it.
Yeah, that's who came to dinner.
Oh, well, and the other one, it's Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, because, you know, we did the flip-flop.
Yeah, and it's a huge downgrade.
I mean, yeah.
Like, if we're talking Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, to Ashton Kutcher, I mean... No offense to Ashton, but I mean...
No, yeah, none. Like, honestly, I don't even think that he would be offended. He'd be like, no, I get it. You know, it's Sidney fucking Poitier.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about an icon versus, you know, the guy from That 70s Show who married Mila Kunis, who was also in That 70s Show. So, you know, Demi's ex.
Not Lovato.
No, the original, the OG. But no, I understand your point about, like, autumn. Stranger Things for me is like an autumn show. Until they start to get, you know, into the obvious summer season of, like, season 3. But, like, season 1, season 2, fall.
That's right. But I guess that's why it's a Halloween thing.
Oh shit, you're right. Season 2 does have the Halloween thing. Hot damn.
No, it's you've
I walked right into the classic blunder.
You've raised a really interesting point for where we are in this year, you know.
Well, and I guess it is again also so interesting to me because, like, what the fuck happened to Thanksgiving? You know, even just culturally speaking, you don't go to the store and see people, like, you know, putting up, Halloween isn't over, Christmas is here.
Yeah. It's because I feel like a lot of people have my opinion about Thanksgiving. It's cool. We come together. We're thankful. You
and
know,
also
free food.
maybe some of the other thing that has also gone into play is the awareness of some of the falseness of the myth.
I think people are so distracted by Christmas
That's also true.
that they are just excited for a day off from work.
That's true.
And then because Black Friday is the very next day.
True.
People instantly go, that was great. Get rid of it. Instantly thinking about going to, you know, the stores to buy it up, you know. That's the holiday people are actually looking forward to.
Yeah.
People love Black Friday.
Consumerism.
That's right. People could care less about obesity. I'm kidding. Thanksgiving is not going to lead to obesity all of the time.
Well, it will, at least for a day. And
Gluttony, the holiday.
That's right. But I guess with all that aside, we should go ahead and jump on into one of the films that, you know, because if you go online and you decide to look at, like, Thanksgiving movies, it is a real crapshoot. Actually, a lot of film people typically treat it as Noir-vember.
Why?
For the pun. So they focus on, like, noir films throughout the month of November. We're going to go for the stretch. We're going to try and fill your month with Thanksgiving.
See, I think that it would have been more interesting for film people to have chosen No Shave November as a movie theme. Figure it out, guys. Watch a lot of, like, Teen Wolf, you know, lots of Twilight, people just becoming hairier.
Castaway.
Boom, boom. This is a more interesting thing. You can watch noir anytime.
But we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and do Thanksgiving things. And so one of the things that came up that actually also sort of tied into the release of the new Wednesday TV show on Netflix was the Addams Family Values. And so our film for today is going to be the sequel to the original Addams Family film from the 90s. Addams Family Values came out in 1993. It is directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. It is written by Paul Rudnick. And it stars, of course, Angelica Houston, Raul Julia, Christopher Lloyd, Joan Cusack, Christina Ricci, Carol Kane, and Jimmy Workman. And our plot is the Addams family try to rescue their beloved Uncle Fester from his gold-digging new love, a black widow named Debbie. And with all that said, dear, why don't you take it away? The Addams Family Values. What'd you think?
I love this movie. This movie is great. It doesn't care anymore. And I think that that's part of its charm for me. Because we did watch Addams Family on Halloween, and then like recently now watching this movie, and like there is like a stark difference.
And we can talk a little bit about the original as well.
Oh yeah, but I was just gonna say though, like the moods of these two are different in the sense that like the first one is like, you know, it's the first one. We got to take this seriously. We got to ease people into the idea. You know, people like the Addams Family. They like this whole vibe. These people are doing a great job. And the first one is a perfect film. And then there's this one that goes, now we've got this great base. What can we do with it? And it just goes bananas to the point where, you know, we've got Morticia and Gomez doing a tango in a restaurant. You know, we've got Joan Cusack playing a terrible babysitter, basically, for like half of the film. Ships these kids off to summer camp, of all places, where summer camp, they are doing the Thanksgiving play. You know, it's just madness. It's absolute chaos, and it's so much fun. Morticia and Gomez end up having a new child, and that causes animosity in the family, but of course they have to Addams it up, so this little baby has like a tiny little baby mustache. Chef's kiss. No, I think that, and the reason that this movie is so much fun, though, is because of the fact that everybody in it is having just as much fun. All of the jokes are landing even harder because everybody got to say, yay, gosh, I really enjoyed being in that first one. Now this is where I get to sink my teeth in. Raul Julia gets to ham it up as Gomez, having a mental breakdown as he thinks his brother has abandoned the family. Angelica Houston gets to have all of these fantastic one-liners as she's still lit in the same perfect silhouette of Morticia. Every time where she's just like, oh gosh, what's one of the things where she's like, not yet, and it's just, that good old ball and chain, our wedding night. It's just these perfect little moments. And like, honestly, for me, the only thing that is a downgrade in this film for me is the fact that it's not the same grandmother. Mm-hmm. And I think that I don't know, something tragic could have happened to the original grandmother. I have no idea. But I do not think that our new grandma is as funny. I think that because everything is amplified in this movie, they were like, we have to also amplify Granny, but then we have this woman who's not funny. And so, like, it doesn't work for me. What? You've got a face.
The actress that played the original grandma, she did in fact die. In 2015.
What? Oh my gosh, I thought that it was actually going to affect the film. Oh my gosh. I'm done. I'm dead. No, yeah, and I think that
I don't know why they went with Carol Kane then. Maybe she just didn't want to come back.
I mean, maybe. And like, there are moments in this movie where like, I'm like, this is the line, this was the delivery, super funny. But then they make her almost like a gimmick character. Like, they didn't care enough to put a little bit more effort into it. Like, I think that we're so close. But honestly, like, that's my only note. I love the whole, like, turning the Thanksgiving play and, like, getting it twisted with Wednesday ruining it by actually telling the truth of what's going on, I love the fact of, like, they end up making all of these, like, dark references to our real history, and basically taking away all the sugarcoating of the fact that, like, we as Americans have a history of doing bad things.
Yeah.
But the all of these other kids, are so happy and all because they're so wealthy and well off and disconnected.
Yeah.
That they can just go, oh, this is just a fun play with Pocahontas, and I'm gonna play a pilgrim. How quaint. I could go on. This movie is a happy place for me. And I'm completely biased, and I'll accept that.
So for a little bit of background real quick, Barry Sonnenfeld, the director of the film, actually started his career as a cinematographer. And his credits include Blood Simple, Big, When Harry Met Sally, Miller's Crossing, and Misery. And his directorial debut was The Addams Family.
Oh.
His overall directorial credits include the Men in Black films, Wild Wild West, 10 episodes of the recent Unfortunate Events films, or TV show.
The one that has
Neil Patrick Harris.
Okay, fantastic.
And so that's a little bit of background on Barry Sonnenfeld. So, Addams Family Values, what do I think? I hadn't seen this movie, dear listener, in probably 25 years. That's not a fucking joke. Like, I probably hadn't seen this movie since, like, 1994, 1995. Like, it's been a hot fucking minute.
You are hilarious.
I didn't grow up in a house that watched the sequel. We owned the first Addams Family. We did not own the Addams Family Values.
Baby, I didn't own this movie. But you better believe that when it came on TV...
Oh, no, never. Never, never, never. Not ever. I realized just profoundly how much I didn't remember of this movie upon rewatching it.
It's the first one on cocaine.
It is a funny but messy movie. Structurally speaking, it is even though we progress our characters forward a little bit, not overly much. So I will give it credit. You know, we don't do a Ghostbusters 2, you know, where we break up everyone.
No, because the family unit
again.
is healthy.
And so we don't do that. We do progress things forward, and I really respect that about the movie. I do respect that they were like, you know what, our main focus of the first movie was kind of Gomez
so we're gonna focus it.
So we're going to kind of open it a little bit. I think that it was a mistake to continue having Fester be our focus, because Fester was also critical to our narrative of the first film. And honestly, the thing that I found the most interesting and compelling narratively wasn't the another attempt at stealing the Addams' wealth. Mm-hmm. It was this idea of the parents are distracted just by new parentdom that allows for this mistreatment to occur, where, you know, the other children get shipped off, and then they're subjected to this deranged theater director, summer camp coordinator. And so, like, that was the part of the movie that I loved the most. Even though Joan Cusack is doing great, a lot of the other stuff was essentially just, someone's trying to steal the wealth, doo-dah, doo-dah. You know, like, it felt a little bit similar and samey for me to the plot, the main driving plot of the first film. Mm-hmm. And so, like, for me, every time we came back to this summer camp, I was like, young David Krumholtz, you know, like, I was super into it. I was super pumped. Christina Ricci was killing it.
Yeah.
You know, it almost felt like this, go to summer camp and follow the slasher villain as they try to fit in vibe. And I really fucked hard with that energy. And so, like, that was some of my favorite part of the Addams Family Values.
No, I think that's totally fair. Because, like, to your point, honestly, do I enjoy Joan as much as I enjoy, the woman who plays his mother in the first one? No, not at all. Not at all.
I love Joan,
and she's having a great time, and she's doing great.
Oh yeah,
it's just not the part. You know,
it's not as good as the psychologist with the mother and the father.
That's right. No, I love the fact that Morticia and Gomez are so, like, new baby, but the fact that, like, their children are literally, like, rebelling against this child in only the way that an Addams can.
Yeah.
But the fact that, you know, they're cartoon people they can survive all of this stuff. You know, that's the funny, and I think that that's the thing that I really enjoy also about like the Fester plot line is the fact that she's, you know, this entire time just trying to get the money. And she's trying to do whatever she can, you know, to kill him off like she's done all of these other dudes. You know, and the fact that she's a real person and he is not is the like kind of match made in hell scenario that like makes their storyline for me very funny, is the fact that like she is very persistent about what she wants from him to the point where she's willing to make herself completely miserable because she'll never get her goal.
Yeah.
At all. Without this man constantly behind her, you know, and I think that that's fun. I think that Christopher Lloyd is having a phenomenal job as always. He's having so much fun. I love how much he just like disappears into the character of Fester.
Oh yeah, he vanishes. And
like it really gets built on also with the way that they make the Fester costumes. You know, he has this fluffiness to him that feels very much like he's surrounded by a pillow in the outfits all of the time.
Christopher Lloyd as a, you know, I'm not sure, you know, of course you know him as Fester and you know him as Doc Brown. He is a phenomenal, obviously even beyond this, comedic actor, and he has always understood physicality, timing, you know, and how the body works in telling a joke.
Well, there you go. You answered your own thing of why he is a good comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And why he's a good actor is because he gives into it 100%. It is physical, like Mr. Bean.
Yes. The character isn't aware that they're funny. Yeah. They are living their life. They are being themselves.
And that's I think something about, you know, these films for me, and this film as well in particular, is the fact that like these people are fully formed in these characters.
And all of these actors are so tapped in.
Exactly. And now we can just have a bunch of fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's fantastic.
It is the charm that sells the movie, because if this was any lesser of a cast, this movie would fucking suck. It would be Men in Black 2. And
it's right though.
And like Men in Black 2 isn't the worst sequel in the world, but like if we talk about the come down from 1 to 2, it's abysmal.
Whereas this one almost feels like, you know, the first one is like you're taking up the roller coaster, and then this one is the drop down. You're just the rest of the roller coaster now. You know, sure, it's loud and it's fast and it's got your heart racing and you don't really know what's going on, but you're having fun. Whereas to your point, you know, Men in Black 2 is a come down in the sense that like you're like, oh,
it didn't land as hard.
Yeah.
And
it feels cheaper.
I wanted to circle back also real quickly on a point that you brought up about the antagonists of the film. The thing that made the first film great was that you had these 3 antagonists that were our central antagonist, plus you also had the sensibility of the town being against them. And you know, you had our psychiatrist, and then you had Dan Hedaya.
The town? Do you mean like his neighbor?
Yeah. And like the judge and some of those
That's the same
people.
person.
Oh, okay. Well, then you had, you know, the judge, you had some of the other, like, you know, people at the school. You had Dan Hedaya, you had Dan Hedaya's wife, and then, of course, you had the psychiatrist. Whereas this film, you know, when we see the Addams family house, it's no longer from afar. It's no longer this odd house in the middle of suburbia. It's sort of surrounded by desolation. You know, and it gets, I think, a little bit more insular on a certain level, and I think that you hit on a really interesting point. The reason that Joan Cusack is hilarious as a villain is that she is a human expecting human results, interacting with a cartoon family. And I think that also is the thing that I wish had been paid a little bit more attention to with our villainous camp counselors, is that I think that we had a lot of potential for them to be much stronger in their focus, because I think that we could have had almost essentially like two almost cartoonish forces colliding heads with Wednesday and the main camp counselor.
Oh, see, you don't think that they're cartoonish?
Oh, I think that they are cartoonish, but I wish that we had just gotten more of them. You know, like, I wish that we could have lived more with those characters the same way that we got to live with, like, Dan Hedaya and the psychiatrist, I feel like, very jointly, equally. I feel like Joan Cusack really ran away with a lot more.
Well, because she's our main villain.
That's true. She's
the one causing them to go to camp. This is just a secondary story.
Yeah. And I was so charmed with the secondary story, I guess, and that's maybe my fault, you know, as a viewer, but that was definitely what had my attention the whole time. However, also, it does bring up the interesting point why we're talking about this. The Thanksgiving thing.
Well, yeah, but that's also the thing, see, what you're pulling on in this film is the thing that you thought was the most interesting thing, was the thing that everybody thought was the most interesting thing, and that's why the only time people think about this movie is they think about the show. They think about the play that goes on, you know, the Thanksgiving play that is absolutely hysterical.
It does the quintessential sequel thing of, like, doubling down on Wednesday and Pugsley did an insane play in the last one. You know, let's sort of increase the insanity of the play again. What's so funny to me, though, is that, like, what time of year is this?
It's summer. And
that's, to the point that you made very early on, it's hilarious that he was like, I know exactly the show that we're gonna do.
No, yeah, but I think that again, it's this entirely ludicrous, you know, scenario, or it's literally Pugsley dressed up as a turkey being like, "Eat me! Eat me!" It's gold.
Yeah.
It's perfect. And I think that I think that this movie has a lot of, like, strengths when it comes to the family unit itself, you know. I think that they didn't really know what to do with Pugsley in this one, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, he ends up getting put...
Forgotten child.
Oh, yeah. Very much so, you know.
Him and the grandma. It's like, just let him have some grandma. Of the punchlines, you
grandma
know.
had more to do, and I hated it. Because, again, she wasn't as funny as the original woman.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that any of her bits are, like, funny. You know, her whole, like, oh, it's just a curse. You know, when she does the whole, like, shake the skull at Joan Cusack bit, you know. Like, it could have been funny. But, like, it felt like they were like, and Grandma needs to do something here. Mm-hmm. You know, and I felt like they did that a lot. I felt with Pugsley, you know, not as egregiously, but I think that, like, poor Pugsley, nobody knows what to do with him because he's just like the lovable oaf of the family, you know, whereas Wednesday is the focus child because she is the brain, you know, of the duo.
People don't know what to do with Pinky.
Exactly. But I also love this, like, budding romance story that we get of her, you know, this very hard character, you know.
Softening.
But also for the most random of people in this, like, very nerdy Jewish boy.
What I also really enjoyed, though, was this blossoming of the Gomez and him.
Oh, you know? Yeah.
Because the last thing that they say to each other, you know, cara mia, is,
well,
you know...
the later in the movie when he's, like, dressed up as Gomez officially at, like, the party, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and so I really enjoy that element to it, to your point. It's so charming.
No, yeah, and I think that Fester ended up needing to be the lead of this movie because of the fact that we couldn't break up Gomez and Morticia.
Yeah, we can't divorce them. That's lame.
No, yeah, and they don't fight.
That's not the point.
No, because at the end of the day, and that's the thing that I love about the Addams Family every time that we get them, is this undying love.
Steadfast.
That is unseen in a lot of other versions of stuff like this. You know, no one's love is as strong as the Addams.
Yeah, like almost every other media does the, like, let's shake up and make the parents unstable, you know, for a season.
No, yeah, and like that's so uninteresting because this is an interesting choice. Is like, but what if they were fine?
Yeah, what if they literally worked through it?
Yeah, and I always found like they were, this is such a good role model aspiration of of this kind of thing in media, because they could be as weird or didn't have to get along with any other person because they had already found theirs. And that was forever. It was easy. Every conversation they have is just reaffirming how much that they love each other.
Well, and like I have seen people who identify with all kinds of different communities, straight, somewhere on the queer spectrum, into kink, people of color. I've seen all kinds of people go, Addams, Morticia and Gomez Addams are couple goals. Like they are so foundationally, I think, like the quintessential, to your point, picture of like, it doesn't matter how weird we are.
Looks like.
Yeah, we're happy.
Yeah, what a healthy relationship looks like is a relationship where you listen and you love your partner. That's we're done here. We figured it out, You don't have to perform for them. You don't have to do anything other than be yourself.
And be respectful of each other.
Exactly. And come in, with kindness and with love in your heart. These are the things. Whereas like so often, even healthy relationships, even these people, you talked about people talking about like, relationship goals. It's all this crap that is at its core toxic.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody is like, oh gosh, Joker and Harley, you run the other way.
Yeah. Because
that's not love. Because that's not, especially because I think that people also frame it in the sense that like, it is like this. It is like the Morticia and Gomez, it's not. We don't ever get to know the origin of their story, really, but that's not the point. Because they've got all these years together, they are comfortable together. Whereas like, what does Joker and Harley got? A psychiatrist who got basically talked out of her doctorate by a crazy person who she fell in love with, but not really, because he's basically Charles Manson. And that makes her a part of the Manson family, basically. It's just the same thing.
No, yeah.
But, gosh, that was a whole tangent. I'm so sorry.
Here, let me focus back up for a second then. Before we give this thing a rating, how do you feel like this film sits with your ideas of what Thanksgiving is about?
I guess I think that this is like a perfect Thanksgiving movie, considering A, there aren't any, and B, if I have to endure Thanksgiving, at least it made me laugh. Because I'm sorry, I grew up in Virginia, and so, unlike other states, Virginia is real hype about some crap from the 1600s. They're like, guys, we were the first place that a boat landed, and people came, and we had settlements. Look at Jamestown. Look at Williamsburg. Oh, it's everywhere. It's all of the time. So like Thanksgiving, it was always one of those things in school where they were like, and now you get to hear about the Pilgrims and the Indians again. And it's just a bunch of lies, and stop it. Just stop it right now. Let's call a spade and let's move on. But I think that this is a lot of fun, even for its little brief moment of Thanksgiving. I think that's good enough for a holiday that I could do without.
Fair enough. I think that this movie for me ultimately does land as, despite its summer location, I think it does ultimately land as a Thanksgiving film because at the core of it, it is, of course, about family, togetherness, unity. And it also has that, occurrence whereby one of your family members brings someone into the family that's going to be in some photos and you're going to look at a few years later and go, who's that?
That's right. That's right.
And so therefore...
I mean, it's called Addams Family Values.
No, and so I think that it does tie into that idea. This idea of oneness, of unity, of finding the reasons to celebrate each other, and celebrate being together. And once they get back together, because they spend most of the movie apart...
It's the best part of the movie,
And so once they get back together, it's a glorious moment of celebration of a family that has spent time apart.
Coming together.
Finally back together.
And we get to touch on a lot of interesting themes because the fact, you made this point earlier is the time is moving forward. It's not this comfort place of being like, oh, well, I can always go back because it's always the same. No, even in this cartoon world with these cartoon people, they found a way to still progress this and make change happen and okay. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's something that's a lesson that people don't learn, that change is scary, but it's also exciting, and we're so afraid of going forward that we constantly go, well, I'll just go back to this thing that brings me comfort,
Change is where growth happens, and if I had stayed comfortable for the point of 18 until now, I would be a worse off person for it.
Yeah.
And every single change that happened in my life was equally and intensely and ferociously intimidating. In its own way.
Well, yeah.
But that's also where the excitement came from, of finding out what was on the other side.
But that's why anybody who has ever been born into money has no idea how the world works. Mm. Because they've never actually had to experience any hard change.
Mm. Transitional points.
Yeah. Mm. When you can buy your way through them, it doesn't last as long and it's not worth as much. Hmm. Just look at Elon.
Oh, good old Elon. Mm-hmm. So with all that said, if you had to give Addams Family Values a score out of 5, what would you give it?
I'm going to give this movie a solid 4. I love this movie, but I also know that it is not a 5.
Very generous of you.
Yeah.
I'll go with a 3.5.
I think that's totally fair, honestly. Again, this movie
it's a messy bitch.
It's not perfect. It's not.
A sloppy hoe.
It's no, that's that dog named Gemma.
But it still won me over.
Because this movie has a lot of charm.
It does. It's got effortless charm. And that is so much the cast. It is so much the cast.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I think that it was rewatching this movie. I had not seen this movie in a while, but rewatching this movie, I was like, this movie is just as funny and just as much fun as I had, when my child brain was watching it, because it's made for children. The other one is made for families.
But this one, I will say, I was surprised at some of the jokes that this one made. There were a few times where I was like, oh, that's an adult joke.
Well, yeah, because somebody has to buy the tickets.
Oh, yeah. But, I was truly amazed at, how adult even the context of it was. I was like...
Oh, yeah. Like I said, this movie doesn't care anymore. But that's why it's so fun. Give it a chance. Watch this movie. Watch the first one first.
Oh,
and
yeah,
and then watch this one. It's
so
going to be your new favorite Thanksgiving movie right here.
I guess with all that said, the only other things that I really wanted to talk about, a new trailer came out for Avatar, The Way of Water. Dear, what did you think of the trailer for Avatar, The Way of Water?
I felt like this trailer was a hard remember that for the first one in like every sense. We were like, look, there's some stuff on fire, and look, she did the whole flip and like catch her, prepare to fire thing that she did in the first one, but now it's in a different environment, and like, oh, instead of the flyy dragons, now we've got the water dragons that they're riding on, and like it was fine. But I got a lot of like, it's the first one with a different wrapper on it.
Mm-hmm.
Energy, and like that could be completely different. How many people of color are actually in this movie?
In the cast?
Yeah, in the main cast. Because I'm pretty confident that their daughter is just another white person with like, blue Na'vi stuff on.
That's an excellent question. Let's see here. Their daughter, I think, is played by this woman. This young woman.
Copy.
But I could be wrong, because also I don't know any of their names. Currently, like, I don't know any of the children's names. I guess we could go by photo, but that would also assume that the people listing the photos know.
I mean, I'm assuming that you're correct, considering there's not a single another young person in this cast that I can see.
So I think that they
while.
went with that young woman for the daughter, and then I think that the son is up near the top of the cast, and the son looks like a white guy.
Oh, I think that he is. Well, yeah, I think that he is one white. But I also think that he is. I don't know. I mixed feelings.
Well, it's funny funny that you bring this up, because someone legitimately had a question on Twitter that I saw the other day, which is, are Jake and Neytiri's children technically mixed?
Yes. Because technically, whatever anyone wants to say, his body,
his entire DNA structure, even though it's Na'vi, is based in whatever his human DNA was.
Yes, and at the end of the day, that is an artificial body.
Mm-hmm.
And so technically, it is not Na'vi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, it wasn't even really born on the planet. It was born probably, like, in a lab.
Yeah. It looks like they tried to make all of, like, their children also, like, this mixed race thing where they're like, because Jake is white and, Neytiri is definitely black.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make all of their kids racially ambiguous is what is what it looks like here. Which is, like, fine, but, like, why?
Because we also are dealing with sci-fi on a certain level here.
Yeah, and also, like, great. Like, that's totally fine. Representation is important. But I would like to see the representation.
With some specificity.
Yeah. This is just as vague a brush of ethnic ambiguity as that Raya and the Last Dragon movie where they were like, they're Asian. What does that mean?
No, I get that.
Because I guess for me, watching the first one, like, I very much identified with the Neytiri character because, not because I saw a lot of myself in Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
I could see her face through the Na'vi makeup, through the effects.
Yeah.
And felt, oh, this is a person that, like, this is a character that I could actually play. But once we start to blah,
Yeah.
it's so much, then, like, what's the point? What's the point of being so specific if you're also then going to not be?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I totally get where you're at with that.
Because also then, like, what's the point of me getting to have all of these cool features and being this proud black woman? Like, what does that even mean if, like, again, I don't even get to go out there and see myself in anybody ever on mainstream?
No, I get that.
Because every movie that's coming out is about white people. Other than Creed, and guess who made Creed? People like me who said, I'm tired of not seeing myself on stuff, so I'm going to make something where I'm the only thing that I can see.
Jordan Peele.
Exactly. You know? But why isn't it mainstream to just cast people?
Yeah.
Why is it that once it becomes mainstream, now it has to be, you know, some blonde girl with some white guy, you know, and they're having their fun times. But don't worry, guys, because we got the ethnic friend.
No, yeah.
Who is every stereotype ripped in one, you know? If they're not ethnic, then they're a different body shape, because that's inclusivity. I've gone on another tangent. I will hopefully be more excited about Avatar 2 coming out of the theater.
No, I get where you're coming from. And you know, the trailer definitely had a lot of I mean, literally the entire vibe, you know, I mean, they put it in the text, you know, welcome back to Pandora or whatever, you know, return to Pandora. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that is definitely what they're hyping, and I think that is a little bit of a disservice. You know, you do that trailer 1, that's fine. Trailer 2, when the movie is a month out, I would like a better sense of what this 3-hour movie is supposed to be about.
50% of it is all planet Earth.
And so, like, I would definitely like, you know, a little bit of a better sense of it going into it. And it you do have to walk, you know, a little bit of that fine line of giving too much or too little, but that's kind of where I live with it. I would like to know more than I currently know. And this trailer I thought was about the same, I felt, I guess, as the last one. And for me, I think that's a little bit of a disservice, is like, I want to build on whatever sensation you planted, you know, and that's successful marketing, right? Your first trailer should get me enticed, and then your second one should build on that. And I don't think that I necessarily felt that with this. It felt very samey.
No, yeah. I mean, I get that. I think that, I mean, we talked about this earlier, but I feel like with the more I learn about this movie, the less I'm interested in it. Mm-hmm. I was excited about Avatar 2 that day that it was like, poof, Avatar 2 is coming. Done. You know, that little, like, we don't even get to know anything kind of blip. Mm-hmm. That was the part where I was like, oh, this is interesting. But literally the first trailer was okay. And honestly, this trailer left me going, I don't know if I really want to watch this movie. Mm-hmm. You know, and now you remembering with the help of you, that this movie is 3 hours long. I'm like, oh God, you know, for me, it's almost giving me the same vibes of like how I felt watching Zack Snyder's piece of crap. Mm. You know, why are we here for 5 hours? What is the point of this? You know? And so I'm hoping that actually watching the film will be a better experience than getting to see people in water. The trailer.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all that we have for y'all today. Of course, we're going to be continuing on with our Thanksgiving theme throughout the month. Be sure to go back and check out last week's big slasher extravaganza and check out all of our horror stuff that we did for October. Dear, do you have anything that you would like to say to listeners?
Put your hands together and then pick up your laptop and then open it. And then go to thefilmbuds@gmail.com or whatever the hell it is. You can look into the descriptions. It's always there. And tell me what your favorite Thanksgiving movie is.
Okay. Not bad, not bad. No, of course, thanks as always, you guys, for listening. Next week, we will be doing planes, trains, and automobiles. So definitely be on the lookout for that one. Good old John Candy performance. And we will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.